You're listening to Convenience Matters, brought to you by Nax. We'll talk about what we see at stores and what the future may hold for our industry.
There is nothing greater than hearing the true, cold stories of people changing their entire lives to be great in the world of food. It's what keeps us going and what inspires us. And if it sounds like I just read that, it's because I did. It's a quote from our guest who will be joining us today. So today we're talking to Chef Joe Arvin. He's a celebrity chef that's been on a variety of cooking shows, not kicking shows, just cooking shows. And he's had that passion for stories and just food in general. So welcome, Chef.
Thank you. Welcome to be here.
So how did you first get into food? Because you've been on all kinds of different food shows, and we'll get into some of that. But what got you inspired to be into food?
Man, food's been in my life my whole entire life, but the inspiration is my mother. My mother being a deep Southern-rooted cook, and the things that got me into it was not the fact that she cooked. It was the fact that when she brought a meal into the living room for Thanksgiving, even just a Tuesday night, I mean, you could have bad things going on. Somebody could be in a fight. But when Mom brought the food in, everybody started smiling and everybody fell in love. And it was just, as a child, I looked at that and was like, I want to be a part of that. Food makes people happy. So what a better place to be in life than where you're making people happy.
So how did it go from Mom cooking to you cooking?
It went from Mom. I graduated. I went to University of Kentucky out of high school. Let's just say I didn't do very well the first time around. So actually, out of that, I got to working with a local caterer named the Pampered Chef. Not the company as in, this was just a local restaurant, and he happened to be a James Beard winner. And after working with him for one summer, he was like, I think you've got talent in this. And it was the first person that really spoke to me and said that culinary was an art, and it's an art form in many different ways. And that's what it took. It took one mentor to say, you're good at it. And that's what sent me off to culinary. And after that, it's spent my entire life in it.
So that's really interesting that it's just one person made it from a job to a career. Do you have any advice for folks who are in the business, whether full in a restaurant or just overall in business? How does that shape your philosophy moving forward in how you can be a mentor?
Get out. Don't go. Get out of food service. Now, I mean, the greatest thing about food service, and I have watched it get better and better and better and better with TV, with C-stores bringing out great food. I mean, you could go to some places and you're like, man, this is better than the restaurant down the street. So you're seeing places that don't normally have gourmet food having gourmet food. I mean, it's all over, all around us.
Yeah, and you had mentioned the South. We had somebody on a few weeks ago, a photojournalist who has the book, Thank You, Please Come Again, which celebrated all these Southern gas stations.
Yeah.
And the foreword has a line that says, my favorite restaurant sells gas. And that is something that you're much more likely to see, particularly in the South. But now you see that phrase on coffee cups and all kinds of things where it is the excitement, the ability to find something that's off the beaten path that you can share on social media.
Yeah, it's becoming.
I was gonna say, have you found any of these stores in your journeys?
Man, I mean, it right now we're in an era. I just absolutely love it. My wife and I, we call it date day, but we'll take the motorcycle out and get lost until we find something. We don't care what. We run into it. We run into it. But the great things about the South, man, you can go down river roads. You can get lost in the mountains of Red River Gorge, Kentucky, where I'm from. You can go down to the gorge and find that there's a gas station down there that serves breakfast. Full breakfast, but I'm telling you, you ain't going to get a better biscuits and gravy anywhere in the country. And this is a little old gas station in the middle of nowhere, Kentucky. in Eastern Kentucky. And you can find little gems like that. So I tell people, man, all the time over at the house, I'm out to dinner. I'm like, guys, go out on the weekend, take a trail. I think we should put a map together. Put a map of these off the beaten places so if you're on Route 66 or you want to take a ride, or if you're on your bike, or say you're going camping, man, could you imagine having a guide that says, come see this guest, check out the food here? So I get excited about that kind of stuff, man, because food in general, I mean, I said I got into it because it makes people happy, and that it makes me happy. It makes people happy to be able to make these journeys and I love when a C-store becomes a destination. And that's how we find them, is through, like you were talking about, social media.
Yeah, and I have some colleagues that are in Dallas area this week. And there was a place that we visited called Chef Point Cafe, Conoco gas station. And this was a chef who wasn't able to get a restaurant for a loan, but was able to get a gas station, and immediately transformed the convenience store into a gourmet restaurant. They had the best lobster bisque I've ever had in my life at the Conoco station.
Yeah.
And they did so well that they opened a full-on restaurant. And I asked, is it just as good? And it's like, of course it's just as good. But it's just, you can get your start in the convenience industry and you can move on from there. And to talking about the map, that is something that we've had a lot of internal conversations. And I think a whole bunch of us could add 20 stores here, 50 stores here, 100 here. And all of a sudden we're up in the thousands in terms of great food.
It's great food is everywhere nowadays. It's just, with TV, with everybody. I mean, with the foodies of the world. Now we've got Instagrams, X's, Twitters, Facebook. Everybody's got a foodie page, and everybody's telling people about things and finding things. And that's why it's becoming better. To your point, Jeff, I actually know a store, and this one's really not off the beaten path. It's in Chicago, and it was a food truck. It was a food truck that attached itself it was on the side of the gas station, right? The side of this old gas station. Well, 2 years later, they took a wall of the gas station out and put half the food truck in it. So it's literally halfway inside of the gas station, you have a food truck. And I just thought it was brilliant. And the lines are 10, 20 deep any given time or day. And the restaurant guy, he basically partnered with the owner of the gas station. They partnered up, and he said they've seen sometimes triple and quadruple people coming, which is what? They're going to the gas pumps. They're going and getting other things, but they're coming to get that destination food.
So what's the name of this place?
I can't tell. It's at Durango's.
Okay, because anybody listening, if you beat me to it, send me pictures, because that's going to be on the list to visit. So you had mentioned TV, that food, just as people want to hear food stories, they want to see food stories. How, in your bio, we list a couple things that you've done in terms of TV, but how did you go from you have a mentor, you have a passion for food, to, hey, I'm on TV now?
And that's the onslaught of the world we are. Everybody wants to be famous, and everybody wants to be a rock star chef. And I got into it, oddly enough, a very backwards way. I actually was auditioning for a show called Big Brother, which I was auditioning for the next Food Network star. And somehow the producers put me with Big Brother. They were like, hey, we want to see if they'll get rid of a chef on Big Brother. Like, if you feed them, will they bite the hand that feeds them? That was kind of the premise. I was like, heck yeah, I'll go on there and be a chef. And it worked out really well for me. It got me and that's where I got more opportunity in that. And I think the main thing for me in TV and chefs is it also gives us a voice. For the first time, a chef has a voice outside of the kitchen. And I think it's helping other chefs, other culinarians, because they get to hear our stories. And now more podcasts, more things, if we get more people talking about it outside of the classroom and understanding that a Michelin star restaurant can be on the side of a gas station. We don't, it's the same food. It's the same knife, the same fork, the same napkin. It's It can be anywhere, guys. And we're seeing pop-up dinners, pop-up restaurants that's making it more ideal in people's eyes to go, of course I can go in here and get some good food. I don't have to, I don't have to get crap food no matter where. Nowadays, I can get it anywhere.
So there's some of the shows you've been on, people recognize, and there's one I think in particular that people recognize, and that's a show with Anthony Bourdain, who was considered the legend, I guess, on food TV, and how he transformed it from kind of a little bit of a cookie cutter. We'll do this, we'll introduce some drama, and then we'll tie things up, and we'll do it all in 42 minutes, which allows 18 minutes for commercials and an hour-long show.
Yeah.
What was it like? Tell us a little bit about working with Anthony Bourdain.
Yeah, I will tell you straight. You would not know. You would not know. Meaning, Marcus Samuelsson on the show was my coach. So he was not my coach. He was some of my friends' coach who I was competing against. So Anthony and I often would razz each other because I was on the other team. But his trailer was out by us every day, every morning and every night. And we would sit down with Anthony at the close of the set, maybe 45 minutes to an hour, have a beer with him. Good thing, Marcus Samuelsson would do a shot. Anthony would only have a beer. So I just wanted to get that. But hanging with Anthony was like hanging with your best friend. It was like hanging with the person who you would die to have a beer with. I would tell you, any person I met, I said the first thing, I would die again to just go back and say, have a beer with Anthony. He was doing amazing. What he did for this food scene, he took us from celebrity chef for me, to a real reporter. Like, we have celebrity chefs. I have fun. I'm a goofball. I love playing with it. Food's been my entire thing. But he brought a different genre. He brought like a reporter news. And he brought us out to different cultures. And that's where we can tie in a lot. A lot of now your C-stores and the food that they're putting them in doesn't necessarily have to be American. It doesn't have to be just American and Mexican. And we can go all over now. And Anthony, I feel like he brought us those avenues with his shows to say, let's learn a different culture, learn some different food, put it in different places. And at the end of the day, Anthony also had he was one of the realest people I ever met. And you might know that from his show because he didn't hold back. He told you exactly like he saw it, even if it was bad. But one heck of a human being.
And I think one of the other things you had just mentioned was story. And yes, amazing food can be amazing on its own. Yeah. But how do you tell the story associated with that? Now, whether you're a convenience store / gas station, or whether you're a white tablecloth restaurant, the story does play a role. And absolutely. Are there things that you have seen along the way that you'd share, that you'd say, hey, here's what you might want to do when you think about how do you go to market?
I've all my entire life I've said this because I get questions, in consulting all over the country, all over the United States. And one of the questions I get is, what is your favorite part about a restaurant? Or what makes you, what's your favorite food, chef? What do you like to make? You know what my favorite is? My favorite is service. I would rather get great service and decent food than I would great food and bad service. And I think that's something that coming into all of our markets outside of the just a regular restaurant place. I mean, if I come into one of those, I don't care if it's Michelin star and the trash can's full rolling over in the bathroom and nothing's been cleaned, then I will tell. The first thing I go to an owner and he wants me to consult for them, I say, clean your bathroom, clean the entrance, clean the things that need to be. If I don't care where you're walking in. If I'm walking into a gas station, if I left, I want to see cleanliness, brightness, whites. I want good colors. But the main thing about it is that introduction, that friendliness, and that's why obviously I'm from the South, and you find these stores way out in the country. They're like, darling, come on, sit down and talk with us and have some chili, and we'll just sit back and talk. And that's the way it is.
Yeah, and we visited stores. There was this one store in Round Rock, Texas, that we visited. And first thing that somebody that was going to be a server did for a full week, I believe, was wash dishes. And
there you go.
The idea is when you're serving, you better be able to recognize clean dishes from dirty dishes And the best way to do that is to know how to wash them.
Do it yourself.
And so it's little things like that. But that's a really interesting line, that your favorite food is really great service. And when you look at the restaurant industry, the customer tends to be way less forgiving. Like if you go to a convenience store and they don't have your favorite drink, it's out of stock. Okay, I'll come back. But if you disappoint as a restaurant for whatever reason, and it could be the person that you're trying to get rid of that just isn't working out. It could be any sort of situation, but people won't go back, and they won't tell you. But they'll get on social media and they'll tell everybody.
Social media has hurt us so bad as an industry, as far as killing mom pops. It's really not, it's not going to necessarily tear down a big brand, but it's the mom pops that suffer because one guy walks in and got his tomato was sliced wrong, or his egg wasn't cooked fully, and he just doesn't say a word, or he or she walks out. And the next thing you know, you're defending 50 Instagram posts that his eggs were runny, yet he ordered a soft egg. And it's also, I think one of the funniest thing in our industry as being a chef is the way people like food. Someone said, an 80% approval rate in a restaurant is amazing, because think how many people like, let's just go bacon. I bet any 5 people in the room could not agree on the right type of bacon, right crispiness they like. So that's how hard, I say that to say that's how hard food service can be. That's why nowadays equipment, kitchens that don't have to have hood vent systems, that now they're making hoodless, ventless cooking equipment that's bringing people in that would never be brought into food service, and now we're able to provide for that.
Yeah, that's a great point. When we first started talking and said, "Hey, love to have you on the podcast," you were otherwise known as a celebrity chef, and now you're still a celebrity chef, but you're also a little bit more closely entrenched within our industry with a new position. Now you work for Ovention. And we'll be probably hearing a little bit more about some of the things that you're doing in C-stores.
Yes, absolutely.
In the looking at C-stores, smaller space is a disadvantage. The advantage is a typical store gets 1,000 people walking in that are coming in every day. Restaurants, when they open, don't get anybody coming in unless they plan on eating there. So there's an awful lot of opportunity in our industry to take those sights, those smells, that theater that you can take advantage of, even if you're just coming in to just get a bag of chips and get that person next time or 3 times later to come inside and get that food. What are some of the things that when you walk in a traditional C-store or restaurant that you would suggest people look at, and how do you convert that, oh, by the way, I'm just coming in to get something, to, oh boy, I'm definitely going to try that food?
Yeah. In the world over the last 3 to 5 years, we're seeing trends where the kitchen of a C-store is front facing. So what used to be hid is now front facing. And so what you're saying, the part of theater cooking, a lot now people can see this or that, or something being flipped or something being turned. And it's also, I think, on a manufacturer level of like kitchen equipment, people put all of us, I think, as we talk and we're looking to work with people and help them in the back of the house. Well, helping them in some stages means eye candy. And sometimes you don't think about that as making an oven. We're making speed cook ovens, fat impinger ovens. We're doing all these things. But normally, right, that's engineers. Our world has moved on to a place of what's eye candy for food. They now want eye candy for the gas station. They want, even if it's a little side thing, this little kiosk that, as long as it has some beautiful, clean looking stainless steel, we're now painting ovens to match colors of stores. You wouldn't have seen that nowhere 5 years ago, 10 years, nowhere, no one would do that. And now we're getting kiosk looks. I will tell you another thing that we're finding in trends that I find just amazing. We saw so many, for so many years, you would see, you would have the gas station, then you would have an Arby's or a Subway or some brand hooked on. And now I think we're seeing more and more with the power of consultants like me, with a lot of the chefs that are out there that are, retired, spent 20 years in the business, that they're giving back now. They're starting to give back. And that's, as we give back, that's putting that style, and everybody's starting to trust that kitchen. Now it becomes trust, because now it looks like a restaurant, tastes like a restaurant, feels like a restaurant. And that's where I can come in and eat, right? Mm-hmm. Why make 2 stops now? Why am I going to go there and then go up another exit and hit something? But when they do that, the point I was getting at there is, when they do that, they're also creating their own brand. I'm no longer paying 10% royalty fees. I'm not paying 5%. So I'm not losing that money. But what I've done is created a brand for myself. I'm working on some packages, like creating a restaurant kiosk that the C-store can actually name themselves. So say I did a wing station that you could put behind the counter, and I could do an easy prep for you to pull some really great wings, say, because they were smoked, and then we put them in a fast speed cook oven or rapid cook oven or something like that, and then they're coming out. Well, that's now your brand. We can call that Wing Zings on the corner, and it's a lot better than paying franchise fees.
Well, and the key with having your own food service, besides all the things you mentioned, is gas stations have traditionally had to fight for customers based on their gas price. And whoever has the cheapest gas price gets the customer. What we've seen over the last 10, 15 years in consumer surveys that NACS has done is people are just as likely to go 5 minutes out of their way to go to the store they like than the store that's 5 cents cheaper. So there's that whole added element. If you have the food or you have the offer that somebody wants, then there's some other tricks there. Has to be awesome all the time. You have to market it. You have to do all those other things. Sounds pretty easy. It's not. But if you do that, then you have a winning formula.
Yeah. We actually, one time, we were out in Iowa, and we had introduced a hot dog program. So I did an entire baseball-themed hot dog menu for a C-store. Named them, all they were, everything was something about baseball, each hot dog. Mm-hmm. And I set up the program as a kiosk, and I come down there, and we were passing out, samples and doing things. And a few months later, I go back and I call the guy, and I said, "How's the hot dog program going?" He's like, "It's not really going very good. It's not." He was like, "We're not selling enough. We're not selling enough to keep it the way we are." I'm like, "Well, what are you doing? How are you?" He was like, "We've not marketed it. We say we got hot dogs back here." Well, if I tell you I got a hot dog, you're not coming by my house. If I tell you I got a gourmet hot dog with some chili and some mustard and jalapenos that I made, then you're going to come get the hot dog. So what I did is I said, just because you're a C-store, just because there's a restaurant, you still have to do the things that a restaurant has to do. You still have to be marketable. You still have to, I always say, man, if you can come up with that one item, just that one crazy burger that creates a destination for you, then you are a winner at any C-store, because that's where what you talked about. We're going there for the triple double burger, not for the gas. The gas we're going to fill up and go. Now we're there. Where are we at? We're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. And in America, hey, there's nothing better than you can do that with the time we have on our hands.
And when you talk about menus, it's easy to just list a bunch of nouns, hot dog. But then you just see when people start using adjectives, all of a sudden the food sounds that much more amazing. And the key is to just honestly connect. And it's a little bit of storytelling. So
it's a storytelling. Yeah, that's absolutely. Everybody loves the story.
So since we're talking about TV, and since we just talked about Chicago and the show The Bear, super popular. And one of the things that it gives you insights into the restaurant industry. And from what I hear, it's accurate. But one of the things that they really focus on is every second counts. And that's especially true in the convenience business. So how important is it to address speed of service in our industry? And what I mean by address is not only be fast, but make them think you're fast. And part of that could be, I'll wait the extra 30 seconds because the story behind this is much more amazing than something that feels like it's just been heated. So any thoughts on how speed of service fits into the equation with convenience stores?
I think that we're always in the QSR market, so quick serve market, that's the speed customer, right? I think that in the C-store, that fast casual might actually be the better segment because you're going after customers that aren't in a rush. You may be, doing that, but you have the grab and go food as well. The grab and go food is just you go lighter, but also have what I call the destination food that I'm there for, that I'm willing to wait 5 minutes. I'm willing to take that time because I told Bobby, you got to come over and get this triple decker from, Chevron over on corner. That's what word of mouth gets you. Where are you going to go if a guy tells you I had the best, triple cheeseburger at? Where are you going to go? I'm going there.
And it's what they say, just be famous for something. And if you're famous for something, then build off of that.
You better believe it. And that's one of the first things I go as a consultant and I'm talking to somebody and I usually walk in the door and they go, okay, here's my menu. What are we going to talk about? And I go, let's open your menu and let's tear out the first 3 pages and let's go with these 5 items and make them the best damn items you've ever seen. You can't do 4 pages of food and you can't do in a gas station where we have very limited cooler space, limited freezer space, limited culinary workers. So when I go in, I'm going, okay, what kind of menu that can you create with using today's technology and today's food service? We now have product and equipment that are already programmed by chefs. So like we have at Ovitchin here, we have this speed cook oven that literally walk up and touch 50 different recipes. The cashier can do that and put it out. That's where we're going in food service, to be able to create items like that for speed as well. But I'll tell you, man, with the United States taking on sous vide as well as they have, I think get ready. It's going to make gas station food amazingly better because if we start sous vide product, they don't have to deal with raw. They don't have to deal with contamination. If they're buying wings, it's nowhere they're raw. We can sous vide them and they're moist and tender. And it does so many different things that people don't understand. If I would take a pre-cooked wing, or if I took a sous vide wing, when I'm ready to make my wings, I'm going 30 seconds in a fryer versus 12 minutes in a fryer. And what's that do? My oil degradation is not happening. I was talking to a customer, saved them about $100,000 in oil just by not cooking wings from raw.
That's amazing.
So that's today's world. We have the technology. We have mini combi ovens. We have more hoodless, ventless kitchen equipment than we've ever had in our lives. So you take a C-store that doesn't have a hood vent system because they've never been in food or they've been in light food. That's a $50,000 to $100,000 investment just for the hood. So nowadays, our manufacturers obviously saw that need. So now they can go with complete full kitchens. You can do gourmet kitchens that are completely hoodless, ventless, don't need it. And that's a way of our future as well.
Well, it's our present because at our State of the Industry Summit a couple weeks ago, 30% of our revenue dollars inside the store at C-stores right now are from food service. 37% of profit dollars are from food service. And it is our present, it is going to be our future, and it's going to be very exciting. So
Yeah, I saw it at a gas station. I think one of the first I've seen, but you're going to see a lot of it is where they have cashless drive-through apps for Uber, for all your all your DoorDashes and all of that. We were talking about destination and destination food. You can be at home now and DoorDash your destination food from Quick Trip. You can go and it doesn't matter. And now those will be on apps now. They'll be on DoorDash. They'll be on Uber Eats. But you can see they're going to put in a cashless window. And what they do is they'll have an order number. And as soon as they get there, they just type in 408. Door opens up. They get their triple cheeseburger. And they take away. And the DoorDash driver brings it to the customer. Whenever in the day in your life did you think there would be a day that they would have a window at a C-store to bring you home a gourmet or a nice quick service or fast service meal, and you're eating it on your couch?
yeah. So times are definitely changing, and
Times are different.
And for some reason, I'm kind of hungry for a triple cheeseburger. So
that's the way I work, Jeff. I say it 3 times. That's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Triple cheeseburger.
So it works. Well, Chef, it's great to talk to you about some of the trends in the industry, and look forward to some more conversations down the road. For anybody that wants to Google Chef Joe Arvin, you'll find some of his past videos, whether it's on Big Brother, World Food Championships, Cutthroat Kitchen, Taste with Anthony Bourdain, all kinds of cool stuff out there on YouTube and other things. So thanks for joining us today.
Thanks a lot, guys. And just joearvin.com is where you'll find a lot of that. And I always say I'm on about every social media you can imagine. You can find me. But thanks a lot, guys. This is an entire passion, and it's an absolute, complete joy to share any knowledge that I can. And I've never met a stranger. So if you're around, say hi. I'm always going to give you a hug, or maybe not during COVID, but during that time. I couldn't hug as much then. Southern people hated that. We were like, come on, we can't hug. but yes, just feel welcome, guys, and thank you. I'll come back anytime, and I enjoyed the conversation.
So did we, so thank you.
Convenience Matters is brought to you by Nax and produced in partnership with Human Factor. For more information, visit convenience.org.